Let's add a really great dimension to your guitar solos. Maybe they're falling a little bit flat, maybe they're falling a little bit boring. This is going to be something that you can implement right away, make your guitar solos sound great immediately. If you don't know, my name is Ryan Gaughan. I've been helping guitar players for about 20 years now, really bridge the gap between their creative ideas and what they're able to play, becoming fully fretboard fluent. I would love it if you would hit subscribe and the bell notification to get more videos on how to make your guitar playing better. Okay, part one. I'm still going to give you this part one, is throwing a metronome on, okay, and trying to play something that gets your head moving. Okay, so if this is your metronome, right? If I just do, it's not going to do it, right? That's just 1 and 2 and 3, 4. All of my strong beats, all right? If you can put a metronome on and get your head to move a little bit, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Awesome. Bonus points if you can repeat right after. What we're doing is we're just breaking away from all of the strong beats or all of the 8 notes, right? When we get boring solos, or it just sounds like I'm running the scale up and down. It's just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. Right? That's pretty much it. We need to get off of 1 and 2 and experiment a little bit more with the E, 1 E and right? The E and the Now, you don't have to know the rhythmic theory of what it is that you're playing, just if you can get your head to move a little bit. Okay, that's the beginning part of this. If you throw a metronome on, I'll do it right now. If you throw a metronome on, just the more that you do this, the better your guitar solos will be. It will just integrate into your playing because you are focused on compelling, movable, like sort of like danceable grooves, right? And not just boring 1 and 2 then. So right here. Now if you tap your foot, some notes on the foot tap, some notes not on the foot tap. What you're going to notice is this isn't doing it. That's not either. It has to be a little bit more rhythmic, right? Right, and so on. As long as you can feel a little bit of that groove, you are good. Now from there, you could build into the rest of the scale, right? If I have something like, right, and keep moving it throughout that part of the scale and up the pentatonic, whatever scale it is that you're working with. That is something that you can do over and over and over. It's going to train your brain to stay away from just 1 and 2 and, right? That's 1 and 2. Just running the scale up and down. Right? And even if I add other notes, Dorian, it's not really going to do it, right? That is really boring, even in Dorian. But just a couple of notes. Is going to sound way better than just rambling up and down because the rhythm is not compelling. Now, this is the second part of the video that I would like to talk about. Is we're not going to jump in. Let's say I have this A major, right? I'm not going to jump in and play a really syncopated and staccato, right? Really staccato, right? That's how you find that groove, is getting, right? You can really nail those rhythms and they're not carrying over. You can really hear where those notes rhythmically are lying because they're staccato, right? Which is really great. And then you're adding the other notes. Right, you're adding the other notes of the scale and so forth. But if I were to play, a solo, I might not want that sound, that staccato, really syncopated sound, right? If I have that, and I want to do, right? It's going to sound pretty disjointed. I'm going to want something that flows a little bit more. The problem is when we get into that flow, it starts to go back to, and we don't want to do that. So, what are my options? I'm going to lean back on this really cool rhythmic idea, all right? But I'm not going to do it just with staccato, harsh notes. I'm going to do it with accents, right? Using my dynamic, using my right hand. So this becomes the exercise now. We do an alternate picking. So you stay just on one string, one note. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And on 1 and 3, just pick really loud. So we got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1. Right? And you want the ands after the 1 and 3 to be really quiet. You want everything to be quiet. And the 1 and 3 to be loud, right? Switch it. Now we've got 1. Now on the end of 1 and the end of 3, so it's going to be on an up pick. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Right? Just to get used to the ups. Now we can change it to every down. Or every up. Really trying to control that down in between. Great. That gives us this spike in dynamic that we can immediately pull back from. And we're going to want that. Now, the final layer of this is moving to 16th notes. Okay, so if I have... Can I find interesting rhythms in there? What we're doing is we don't always need to have this disjointed staccato sound. It's a great way to find our interesting rhythms, right? Sounds pretty cool. Eventually I'm going to want to fill in those gaps, but I don't need to fill in the gaps going back to... Right? I can make it a little bit more interesting. Now, if I take those interesting rhythms and this interesting dynamic pattern, because I don't want everything just to be like, bam, staccato notes, you know, I can create something that is going to be compelling and going to be cool in 2 different dimensions. Interesting rhythms and where the notes lie, you know what I mean? And interesting dynamic rhythm if I want to sort of glue some of these together and it doesn't sound really staccato and disjointed. If I, you know, something as simple as that, moving in and out, and it gets like that little bit of movement in there, because I'm not just doing, or, right, it's sounding really disjointed. So getting used to that. Is going to give you 2 really great rhythmic dimensions to work with. And then you have your note choice and you have your phrases and you have your sort of playing over the chord changes, etc., etc. This is going to be a great help. Now, if you do feel stuck in that sort of guitar solo plateau, really boring and robotic, which we all get into, we all get stuck there, and you really want to bridge the gap between your creative ideas and what you're able to play, becoming fully fretboard fluent, you can comment pro below, and I will reach out and we can get started. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.